All right, Liam, scratch all your plans. I need you, like, right now. I'll pick you up Friday night and have you back safe and sound by Sunday evening. I already talked it over with your wife. And no, of course, you're not having any issues with your daughter. I managed to get a word in before my father-in-law dove into his usual monologue. When he starts talking, it's like trying to stop a freight train. But hey, there was a valid reason this time. The cottage roof was leaking. The rain was light, but there were puddles everywhere. At least the furniture stayed dry. So repairs were scheduled for the weekend, but I had no clue just how much chaos this simple repair weekend was going to cause. Saturday morning kicked off with his booming orders. By 8 a.m., we were already up on the roof. The whole day slipped by as we worked, and by evening we crashed, completely wiped out, onto the couches. I barely closed my eyes before I was out cold. The next morning, I woke up to the mouth-watering scent of grilled meat. Seriously, who could resist the smell of a BBQ? It was delicious, fragrant, and so satisfying. We gathered around the table in the yard, pork skewers sizzling in front of us, all while the father-in-law chattered away happily. We share our first drink together, and then suddenly, he sets down his fork and says, "So, Liam, how's everything going with your family? All smooth sailing?" Honestly, I wasn't ready for this kind of talk. I was expecting a chat about roof repairs, or maybe gardening. Not something so personal. Yeah, you know, like most people, ups and downs, I said, shrugging. "Don't forget who you're talking to here. I'm not asking about the bed stuff. How's everything else?" Noah chuckled and poured himself another drink. "Oh, it's fine." I grinned. After payday, it's restaurants. Before payday, it's noodles and Domino's. Grace does her best. Cooks, cleans, and I, of course, make sure she has everything she needs. Do you two ever take breaks together? My father-in-law squinted, pouring himself yet another glass. Sometimes she heads out for mojitos with her friends, and I go grab beers with mine. Seems like that's what everyone does, right? Noah gave a thoughtful chuckle, a glint of something mischievous lighting up his eyes, as if he was about to say something but then thought better of it. "So, you say everything's fine with you, but are you really sure there aren't any other guys around her? She's way too good-looking for you." I'll admit, his bluntness caught me off guard. "What do you mean? Other men? No? There's no one else but me." He chuckled, a short, almost unsettling laugh, as if he knew something I didn't. "All right, Liam, I'm not sure who it is. But things were never simple with your mother-in-law." He started, and that's when everything changed. Turns out, back in the day, he was quite the heartthrob. A tall, dark-haired guy with a killer smile. Aurora, my mother-in-law, saw him, and it was love at first sight. Noah almost walked away right then, but when he found out she was pregnant, he didn't have much of a choice. So he married her, and once Grace was born, and it was clear she was his, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. I still remembered that guy, though, and tried to move past it, to forgive, to forget. But some things just stick with you. My father-in-law looked at me with a sort of lost expression. "You know, Liam, it's like stepping into a public restroom. You never really know who's been there before you." Honestly, his words hit me like a ton of bricks. It was one of those moments that really cut through. Noah. And then what happened? She realized she'd made a mistake, I guess, and for a couple of years, things were calm. But then, it all started up again. One day, we were picking up Grace from school, and she asked for some cotton candy. So we go to the shop, and I look out the window. There's a car in the yard. The guys are laughing, music blasting. And then, out of nowhere, I see Aurora in the back seat, cigarette dangling from her mouth, her feet on some guy's lap. And that's when I knew things were going wrong again. He stopped, almost as if he was reliving the moment. I poured him another drink. I didn't say anything at the time. Grace was right there. But when we got home, I laid it all out in the kitchen. She went to stay with her mom for a week. And me. I just went through the motions. Feed the kid, take her to school, go to work, come home. Like some kind of robot. I sat there, quiet, trying to fathom what it would feel like to carry such a weight on your soul for so long. And then what? I finally asked, breaking the silence. And then, she held on for a few years, and then it started up again. She'd come home all cheery, then suddenly there'd be some expensive beads. I'm not even sure if anything was really going on, or if it was just something else. But then, when she hit 40, everything just stopped. Maybe she learned to cover it up, or maybe she was just done with it. Honestly, I didn't know how to respond. Noah had always seemed like such a strong man, but now he was sitting there, completely shattered, as if his life had been torn apart, like it had lost all purpose. Well, why didn't you leave? I asked, gazing into his weary eyes. He gave a soft, almost bitter laugh. And why? It just turned out this way. First, it was for the sake of the kid. Then it became a habit. And now, I'm nearly 50. Age. Liam. Noah, what are you talking about? Age is just a number. Al Pacino became a dad for the first time at 49. The most important thing is to be happy. And only you know what truly makes you happy. He stared at me for a moment, like he'd never heard anything like that before. You know, Liam, you're right. It's time to start thinking about the whole life, he said, his voice softer. I nodded. To freedom and justice, I said, raising my glass. With that, he lifted his own, and we both drank. After a moment, he excused himself and went out for a walk in the fresh air. A few weeks later, I learned that Noah had filed for divorce. I've never seen him so energized, so free. As for her, well, she was lost, crying on Grace's shoulder, asking a million questions. But as for me, I stayed quiet. 6 months later, Noah brought a new woman to our cottage, a calm, happy one. I'm glad for him, truly. But as for me, I couldn't let go of that nagging thought. What if some of those bad genes show up in Grace?